All right, thanks once again for watching Blue City Reviews. Here to talk about Rob Zombie taking on a cinematic adaptation of The Munsters. And it should be a subject I'm very excited to talk about because I love Rob Zombie, love his work. Uh, to say I'm a massive fan would actually be an understatement. I'm not here to defend him, though. That's not what I'm here to do because he can certainly defend himself. But to give you an idea, got everything he did. Three from Hell, 31, Lords of Salem, underrated as hell. Halloween 2, which is my favorite Halloween aside from Carpenter's original, which is unbeatable. His version of Halloween, the original, the unrated cut, which is far superior. The Devil's Rejects, perhaps the greatest horror western of all time, and his first big break at it, the movie that took him, 3-4 years to get out there because the studio abandoned him, House of a Thousand Corpses. And show you how far back I go. This is when I worked at a video station, and we used to get magazines about upcoming DVD releases, and here's Rob Zombie talking about his DVD release and how he designed the menu, which at the time, that format was pretty groundbreaking, and what he did was very cool. Now, I totally get why somebody perhaps wouldn't want him to take on the Munsters, right? His perspective might not gel with what they grew up with. What I don't get is like this huge push to make it seem like the characters in his films don't talk like, would not exist. I don't get that. Have you ever been to a bar in a small Midwestern town? You don't even have to go to the bar. You can go to a barn party. You can drive to a strip club at the outskirts, which is in his Halloween film. And everybody's like, oh, there'd never be a strip club in Haddonfield. Huh? Are you kidding me? Like, I seriously wonder where these people grew up, and I would like to come visit those towns. And I'm sure they exist. But I would have liked to have grown up there because I have seen 2/3 of the country, some of it briefly, but I've seen 2/3 of what I really want to see in the country. And people talk like this everywhere. I don't know how people. The biggest complaint I hear is like, only Rob Zombie would talk like this, and all of his characters talk like this. What? Are you kidding me? No, like Quentin Tarantino, Zombie has a good ear for dialogue, and because he's sober the majority of the time, remembers probably the majority of the conversations he hears. House of a Thousand Corpses. Nobody had that redneck dialogue except for the serial killers in the actual House of a Thousand Corpses. Okay? Devil's Rejects, some outlaws hunting a traveling band. Obviously, they're not going to have great language, right? Halloween, a movie that takes place in a Midwestern town, and his sequel to it. The complaint I hear is like, that's not my Haddonfield. Well, it's my Haddonfield. I grew up in that Haddonfield. You know, it's like, for me to people to say, well, that's not my Haddonfield, I could say, well, John Carpenter's Haddonfield isn't mine. Even though I'm sure there are places like that. These places exist. You know, what's his movie after that? Lords of Salem. It's a bunch of DJs in a gritty little booth out in the middle of nowhere. Of course they're not going to have PG-rated dialogue. 31 members of a traveling carnival are going to have some pretty colorful stories. I'm not sure why anybody gets down on his dialogue. And it's interesting because before he started movies, I never heard anybody get down on his lyrics, which contain the same sort of content. I mean, these are everyday conversations. Not everywhere, and I'm grateful for people who didn't have to be around this, but these are everyday conversations that a large portion of Americans have. This is America, baby. And I am very perplexed as to why they think he's purposely injecting this to make classics dirty. No, he's just making them modern. That's all he's doing. He's making them realistic, at least for a large portion of his audience. This is just everyday life. Now, who's to say he's going to do that with the Munsters? And Anybody who's seen him work with a good budget, which I think House of a Thousand Corpses, his first movie, which was with Universal, was his biggest budget ever. And those sets are amazing. Zombie has made a career out of designing haunted houses. You don't want to see him take on the Munsters? Are you nuts? Even if he turns them into redneck characters, turn down the volume, turn up music of your choice, and just look at it. So, in closing, this is my little mini rant. I knew as soon as this was announced, I was going to see 1,000 social media comments about, oh, he's going to turn it into these trailer park people. Oh, fuck. No, it's not just trailer parks. This is America. Okay? Sorry. Anyways, thank you for watching Blue City Reviews. Got that out of my system. I will talk to you next time. Cheers.